the Monday morning live stream at the Thrive Like a Viking headquarters, also the Garden Like a Viking, also the Travel Like a Viking headquarters. So we got to do the sound check, guys, because we're going to do the book reading. And last time, I went the whole entire time, and this microphone wasn't even plugged in. And it was just sounding like I was hollering through a tin can. Unacceptable. So you have to let me know if you hear the whisper. Can you hear the Viking whisper? Did you hear it? So let me know. Let me know before we carry on. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Aaron Johnson says, I can't wait to be able to do the cold plunge. The cold shower is a little harsh, but I do it. Nice. Yes. And heard you. Okay, you heard it. Okay, good. So the microphone is working. It sounds good. Is that right? Yes. Aaron Johnson. Yes. So the cold showers actually can be more irritating. They can be a little bit, they're just a different thing. They're a different kind of thing. And I'm in the process of making a cold training video for you guys, an actual ice bath video, which is going to have the breath work and the state of mind. And I'll take you through a real-time breathing exercise. I'm going to film the class tonight and parts of it. And then I'm going to kind of dub over it, and so that I can tell you what's going through our mind and what's happening with the breathing during the ice bath. Okay? Very, very important. The breathing is the most important aspect. Breathing and mindset, of course. So, yes, creative soil. Yes, that was a great idea because I wasn't even thinking about doing it. So thank you for creative soil. Put that idea in the Discord chat and tagged me and said, @Nate or Garden Like a Viking, could you do a video illustrating the whole cold training, including breath work and all that? I said, that's a great idea. And perfect timing right now as it worked out. So, because there is ice on the thing. And I put about 5 cups of Epsom salt into the thing, into the tub. And so it keeps it a slushy 29 degrees. The water is 29 degrees, colder than freezing because of the Epsom salt. Okay? So, let's see who's here. Trish, good morning, everyone. I'll be driving, but we'll be listening. Okay, focus on driving, my friend. And, but yes, glad that you are listening because we're going to do the book read today. We're going to do the book comments. So, guys, if you have, hopefully, if you're kind of like reading through the book, you know, you've kind of like highlighted certain things, or maybe you put things you maybe want to understand deeper, or you need clarification for of some kind. Hopefully, you have that kind of thing. Because I don't want to just go through and read the book like it's an audiobook, you know. It's all in the commentary. It's all in the explanation, or in the, that's where the real magic is. So Val says, perfect. Was wondering how to handle thoughts while the cold hits ya. Ooh, yeah. Jerry says, slightly soft on sound. Might be my computer. Yes, I hope that it is, because other people are saying it sounds great. I got to do it one more time because now I'm gun shy. Now I'm afraid that it's not. So tell me what I say. Ice cubes. Okay, what did I just say? You got to put it there. You got to put it there. So Pauline, hello. Jeffrey, hello. Okay, Val says yes, ice cubes. That's what I said. So now I'm confident. Now I can speak with confidence. This thing is working. Okay, so glad that's out of the way. Jeffrey says, good morning, Val. It is really foggy there, too. I'm loving the humidity. Humidity, boy, it's pretty cold here. Muddy Paws says, did my first cold plunge yesterday. Surfaced with country song Holy Water going through my mind. Awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good soundtrack to something like that. Kenny Green, good to see you here. Hogue, yes, hello. Jenny Grubb, I see where this book is an audiobook on YouTube. So I read, then I will close my eyes and listen to the reading. Yes, that's a good way to do it. Very good way to do it. Jerry says, my next challenge is working out, and I loathe it more than paying taxes. Ooh, more than paying taxes. Well, you need to reverse that, because once the body starts to experience the incredible benefits of the kettlebells, then you will love it. You will look forward to it. It's you don't even have to think about working out. All right. Okay, everyone's saying ice cubes. Okay, good. So, guys, hello, Mel's Variety. Good to see you. And so much easier, but I said, okay. Jerry Bates, great job. Val, we have our own hurdles at our own pace. What did Val do? Let me just say, I'm just trying to catch up real quick, then we're going to get on with the book reading. Serene Dakota, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, hello, Viking brother and tribe. Can't watch live today. Got a class, but looking forward to rewatch. Much love and laughter to all. Nice. Thank you, my friend. And I just want to say something. If anyone is considering or feels moved for a donation to the cause, the Like a Viking Tribe, then please do it on this channel, actually, as opposed to the gardening channel for you guys, because there's like a threshold that you get to. If you don't get to a certain amount of money per month, YouTube keeps it all. And so for the past several months, even though I do lives all the time here and stuff, I haven't even met that threshold on this channel. And so YouTube is just keeping the money, and that cannot happen again. So if you feel moved, so we just need to get it over $100. That's all it is per month. And so, because this channel is not the moneymaker, obviously, which is fine. But we don't want to let YouTube be keeping that money, because it gets up to like $98 or $88 or $95. And I'm like, oh, of course. So it's principle. So just putting that out there, okay? So Ms. T says, greetings, Viking family. Send in high vibes, strong energy for you guys. A wonderful week. Wet and cool here in southeastern Texas. Yes, my friend. Bitterly cold here in the single digits. So, okay. Let's see. I just want to read one more comment, then we're going to get into it. Val says, good morning, Nate and tribe. Got a tiny bit of rain here in northern Arizona. Doing a steady 2 minutes cold shower. Look at that. Trying to improve my daily meditation and breathing. Wishing all a happy day. Yes, Val is on the right track. Definitely. And I believe it was you, Val, that was talking about not even being able to do 5 seconds when you first started. So this is awesome. Yeah? This is awesome. Val says, would PayPal be a better option? Ultimately, yes. There's links in the description. PayPal, Venmo, CashApp. Those are best because I get all of it. But I'm talking specifically on this channel. Has to get past that $100 threshold from now on, because we just can't carry on letting YouTube keep the $98 every month, because I don't get to the $100 threshold. So that's why we're doing it. So thank you guys. Graham, hi Nate, listening today as I'm sorting out my worm tower. Nice. Get up on the Discord, Graham, and show us some pictures of your stuff. I know, the little postage stamp garden. Show us some pictures of your worm tower. I should put a new section in the Discord, worm composting, shouldn't I? Definitely. Yes, $100 timetable every 30 days. That's what it is, Val. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah, this channel's not the moneymaker, but it's still monetized, so it just, is what it is, but out of principle. So Darian Pearson says, good morning, everybody. Let's all exercise presence together. Exactly. That is exactly what we are doing. So hopefully you guys have read up to chapter 3, and I know that many of you have, because you've been in correspondence with me, telling me how much you are enjoying the book and how impactful it is. And this is how I can tell that you're really reading it, is that you're saying how impactful it is. And like so many things, guys, there are things that come to you. Okay, the foundation of the way that the universe works is that the universe is always directing you towards that which is most conducive to your awakening, whether you realize it or not. Now, that doesn't mean pleasantries all the time in life. It just means that the universe essentially, in a way, if we personified it, wants you to awaken to the ultimate freedom, the ultimate state of consciousness. And so it is always directing you towards that which is most conducive to your awakening. Sometimes that can be miserable. Sometimes that can be struggles. Sometimes it can be not struggles. It really doesn't matter. All that matters is that you see it for what it is. And so every single one of you have been directed to this channel because the universe wants to awaken through you. And so you just have to heed the cues. You just have to see, okay, maybe I don't understand all of what's going on, what he's saying, or any of the, a lot of this I don't understand, but something inside feels right. Something in my heart energy sphere, in the toroidal energies field of knowledge, of knowingness, senses that, yes, this is the way. That there's something here that I need to listen to. There's something I need to read or something. And then this book comes along. And for some of you, you will be at a certain point in your life where you will be able to read this and comprehend it and realize it in a way that you would not be able to, even last year, or definitely 10 years ago or 35 years ago. So for many of you, you will read this and it will hit home because it's your time. And so you'll read it and whoa, profound realizations can happen. Life-altering realizations can happen if it's your time. If it's not, don't worry and just keep reading. Just keep the practices. Just keep pursuing. But so that's how I know that because everybody is at different points in their life and everybody comprehends things based upon their current level of understanding, their current level of consciousness. Which ultimately there are no such thing as levels, but in a practical way, we're going to use the term levels. So I gotta see this painting from my mom. I need to reposition that somewhere because that's kind of bothering me. But anyways, okay, guys. So chapter 3. Does anybody have any questions right off the bat? What is let us see. Let me start. You know, I highlighted certain things as I go along and reading it. And I know I've said this last time, but it's just magnificent reading this 20 years later. After the first time I read this, there was no traveling. I was working at a factory. You know, I had gone through a miserable nightmare, fall from grace in high school and stuff. Went to the criminal school. It was just unbelievable. So I was at a very low point in life, but still I was directed to this book. And so I read it. And then a couple years later, when I was working at the factory with no hope of anything, I mean, I was really didn't have a lot of hope in my life at that time. And I was listening to this book on repeat, audiobook. You know, I listened to it for like several months. And so it planted seeds. It planted seeds. And then I put the whole thing down and went traveling throughout the world and the life experience and everything. And now I'm revisiting it. And every one of those seeds have come to full fruition. It's just mind-blowing. And it's just a wonderful experience. So Jerry says, remind me of the chapter title. I put the book back in the library. Moving Deeply into the Now, chapter 3. Aaron Johnson says, oh, darn, I was hoping we would meditate a bit. Ooh, yeah, we should. I typically don't do the meditations during this, but actually let us just do just a brief because you requested it. Let us just do a brief. Now, what we're going to do right now is what you can do. It's just going to be a couple minutes. Here is what you can do during the day in your day-to-day life when you have a few moments like this. Okay, so you're waiting for something. You are waiting in your house, or you're waiting in the doctor's office. You're waiting somewhere, and here is what you do. Sit with the spine straight. Take 3 deep conscious breaths. Again, you breathe deeply in, hold for a moment. Again, deeply in, hold briefly. Now relax the entire body. Starting with the face, every muscle in the face you relax. You relax. The mouth, the jaw, completely relax the tongue. The back of the neck is relaxed. The shoulders, let them hang, just let them hang. With each exhalation, you sink deeper and deeper into the relaxation. Relax the shoulders, relax the biceps, the arms. Consciously relax the forearms and the hands. No tension whatsoever. The spine is still straight but relaxed. Everything is relaxed. Deeper and deeper into the relaxation. Now the legs and the knees, totally relaxed. No contraction of any kind. And finally the calves and the feet. Now the entire body is relaxed. Now relax the mind. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Whatever is happening in this moment, allow it to happen exactly as it is. Allow it to happen. Observe the moment. If thoughts are coming into the mind, just observe and watch. Watch the mind. If sensations are arising in the body, just observe, observe. Allow them to be there. Breathing in, feel the sensation of air as it flows into the body and out of the body. Notice how the mind has become calm, quiet, still. The more you practice, the easier this becomes. Just observe what is happening and allow it. The mind loves this kind of treatment. It is like a vacation for the mind. Breathing in, breathing out. Now let us take a few deep conscious breaths. Breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Again, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Last one, fully in. Fill the lungs. Hold. Let it go. Notice how good the body feels. Positive, joyful, alive, clear, and present. This is all it takes if you do it consistently. 4 minutes. It's enough. If you become conscious for that time, it is enough. And you will begin to see the transformation in your life. You do this every day. Every day. What's up, Joe? Says, just wanted to say, love you, brother. I love you too, brother. Thanks for stopping by. So here we go, guys. Meditation like that, it's all about consistency. It's all about frequency. You want to do it as often as you can. This is important. It doesn't have to be a big spectacle. Look what we just did. 4 or 5 minutes, that's enough. You focus the energies of the mind. Doing 5 minutes once a day is way better than doing 1 hour once a week. And I know this over years of practice myself and also teaching this with people. The ones that would make it a consistent part of their life is where the magic happens. And like Jerry just said, I'm always amazed at how tense I am without knowing it. This is why we do that. If we only have a short amount of time, we do the progressive relaxation, starting with the jaw. And most people will realize that they're clenching their jaw, or their body is kind of tight, or their body's tight. They're tense, chronic tension, just because energy has become trapped. It's often emotional energy that has become trapped because energy in motion needs to stay in motion. Otherwise, like water that becomes stagnant, it becomes rancid. And so it needs to be flowing. And so we can go within and we observe all of this quickly, briefly, lightly, just like that in the body. And we relax. And there we go. So there you go, my friends. Kenny Green says body relaxation before meditation. Wow, definitely, guys. That's a good way to do it. Ms. T says, sometimes I'm not even aware of not breathing. Yeah, definitely. And the more you do become aware of it, the more it kind of amazes you how often people are holding the breath and stuff. So, guys, chapter 3. Okay, I want to stay focused on what we're doing, but we got our nice little meditation in, so we're set now. The body is relaxed. We're present. So, has anyone read chapter 3 that would like clarification on anything in particular? That's what I feel is really beneficial. But we will start right at the beginning. So it's in a question and answer format. And the guy is saying, I feel that there is still a great deal I need to learn about the workings of my mind before I can get anywhere near full consciousness or spiritual enlightenment. And then Eckhart goes on, no, you don't. The problems of the mind cannot be solved on the level of the mind. And so once you understand its basic dysfunction, there isn't really much else that you need to learn or understand. So this is foundationally important, and that's why he says it like this, because so many people, especially in the modern therapy culture, they never get to the root cause of the mind. They never get to the root of the mind, the ego mind. And so they want to treat all the symptoms. It's very common in the Western sort of society to treat symptoms instead of causes. And anyone that's in the medical industry knows this. They're all about treating the symptoms, never really getting to the root cause. They think they might, but they don't want to get to that root cause because that solves things. So the therapy, like psychotherapy, I've seen. I've had experiences with it, and yes. So a lot of it is dancing around the ego mind, just focusing on all of the various manifestations of the ego mind instead of getting to the root cause, the root delusion of the ego mind itself. And so that is what he's saying here, that people can go on and on for years uncovering things about what happened in their childhood. No, okay, you got to go back into your childhood and deep into the uncovering layers upon layers of different complexities of things that happened to them, and trying to figure out why they are who they are now and all this. And there's got to be a reason for all of this. Spoiler alert, guys, it is endless. It is endless. There is no end to the complexities that the ego mind will loop you around into, thinking that you have to understand so much before you can really be free, because the ego mind doesn't want you to be free. And this is the foundation. So the thing is, once you understand the basic dysfunction, the way that it works, the way that the mind, ego mind works, the framework upon which it perceives reality, that's enough to go beyond. So Eckhart says, the ego's needs are endless. It feels vulnerable and threatened, and so lives in a state of fear and want. Once you know how the basic dysfunction operates, there is no need to explore all its countless manifestations. This is exactly what we're just saying. So no need to make it into a complex personal problem. The ego, of course, loves that. It is always seeking for something to attach itself to in order to uphold and strengthen its illusory sense of self. That I highlighted that one because that is very important to understand. The ego, which when we talk about this, the ego is the sense of self. Okay, the sense of self. Now, a lot of people think, oh, he's got a big ego, means being egotistical in that sort of way, domineering, aggressive, those kind of things, vain. That's just one type of manifestation. When we're talking about the ego mind here, we mean the sense of being a localized person, of being an entity. That is actually an illusion and is the ego mind. And so it is always, and so it doesn't exist. Okay? It doesn't exist. And the ego knows this. And so it is always looking for something to latch onto. We can see this more and more and more in the industrialized culture, in our Western culture. The ego mind wants to attach to anything. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. So the, well, I don't know if he says it, but the ego mind, it doesn't matter if it is a good thing, what is perceived as good, or if it is perceived as bad. So if all you have in your life is things that you don't have a lot of material things, because the material things are very easy for the ego to attach onto. And so it goes, okay, well, I am, because it's always looking for a greater sense of self, something concrete that it perceives as concrete to latch onto, because it's not real, it's an illusion. And so it always wants to latch onto something. So if it can latch onto a big house, oh yeah, now it feels, okay, this is definitely me. This is mine, my house, my car. And once that happens, then it's never ending, of course. The bigger the house, the bigger I am. Once a sense of self has become infused into an object of some kind, then all of a sudden it's off to the races. And we see this with rich people, financially wealthy people. It's never enough. Bigger house, bigger car, bigger this, bigger yacht. We gotta have more, gotta have more. And the regular people seem, to them, they can't understand that, but it's a sickness of the mind. To the regular people, they say, well, but they already have a 12-bedroom mansion. What are they? It doesn't make sense until you're in that position, because these mega wealthy people and celebrities, they've become entirely possessed by the ego mind. And so they've infused their sense of self into the possessions. And so, okay, well, my Lamborghini it's several years old. Oh yeah, I'm looking at that new car. Okay, because it always needs the next thing to attach itself to. But if you don't have the money or the fame, the celebrity status, then you can't attach to those things. You can try, but it's just going to be a facade, of course. But if you don't have those things, then you can attach to the opposite of that. You can attach to the misery. You can attach to all the problems that I have. Well, the house needs a new roof, and my plumbing just went out, and I can never catch a break at work, and my back, and I've been dealing with this back issue for so long. I've had a sore throat for like a month. all these problems. And people are always attaching to these problems as if they're real. But of course they're not. But the ego mind wants to attach to them. And this is very common, much more common actually than people that are able to attach to financially grandiose things. It's still the same working of the ego mind though. That is what needs to be understood. So once this has happened, the last thing, so once the ego mind has attached, so Eckhart says, and it will readily attach itself to your problems. This is why, for so many people, a large part of their sense of self is intimately connected with their problems. Once this has happened, the last thing they want is to become free of them. That would mean loss of sense of self. There can be a great deal of unconscious ego investment in pain and suffering. Guys, once you understand this fact, it makes so much more sense. I mean, you can see it with so much clarity, the workings in people's lives. It's easier to see it in other people first. Then you will see it in your own self, possibly after. But you can see that once the sense of self has been infused into something, a situation, the problem, my miserable story, I have this kind of past, I have this kind of loss, or I have this kind of, my fall from grace, or I used to be rich and I lost everything, my wife took everything, or so, all this kind of stuff. But once you infuse your sense of self into that, the ego mind will not want to let go of it. It doesn't want to let go of the problems. It doesn't want to heal itself because that would mean a loss of its illusion, its sense of self. And it is an entity. We could view it as an entity. Just like any other entity, it wants to survive. Desperately, it wants to survive. And so it is not going to let you free yourself of it easily. Yes? And so Eckhart says, once you recognize the root of unconsciousness as identification with the mind, which of course includes the emotions, you step out of it. So Eckhart is saying that identification with the mind includes the emotions. Do not be fooled by the emotions. The ego mind wants to latch on to the emotions. Whatever current fleeting emotion is happening at the time, the ego mind wants to latch on to that and say, I am that. I am this. That I am depressed, or that I am jealous, or that I am, even the positive ones, I am elated. But they are also illusions. They are they're arising and passing, arising and passing, and you observe the whole time. You're observing it arising and passing, arising and passing, and you're sitting from the seat of the ultimate observer, watching all of this happen. And the seat of the ultimate observer is built upon a throne of peace and of serenity and of satisfaction and a deep sense of connectedness with all things. Yes, this is beyond the ego mind. The ego mind has no concept of what the reality is, of your true self. So, so the questioner says, it seems almost impossible to disidentify from the mind. We are all immersed in it. How do you teach a fish to fly? Then Eckhart responds, here is the key. End the delusion of time. Eckhart says, and Eckhart, guys, just so my opinion and experience, Eckhart is synonymous with the Buddha. In absolutely, if the Buddha was like a real person, he is synonymous with that. Okay? So here's the key. End the delusion of time. Time and mind are inseparable. Remove time from the mind and it stops, unless you choose to use it. To be identified with your mind is to be trapped in time. The compulsion to live almost exclusively through memory and anticipation. This creates an endless preoccupation with past and future, and an unwillingness to honor and acknowledge the present moment and allow it to be. Yes? So, the identification with the mind is trapped in time. So, what is he really saying here? Uh, it means that your sense of self, the ego's sense of self, only exists in the concept of what has been or what will be. In the now, it is perfectly free. There is no ego mind. This is why we can say with absolute certainty it is an illusion. But most people, if they are not at least begun to live in this way, they will not really have any concept of what that even means. They live their entire life through the anticipation of the future and the remembering of the past, especially as people get older. They have so much past that they can still carry with them, and so much regret or so much lost, failed ambitions, and so many hopes that never materialized, and things they would have done differently, and oh, yada yada yada, and the fact that as I'm really old, so I don't have much future left. Oh man, and it can weigh very heavily on people. So now we go on. Let us skip a little bit so that we can get this chapter sort of completed. So hopefully you guys are reading these, as well. You need to actually read them, okay? Because Eckhart goes on, nothing ever happened in the past, it happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future, it will happen in the now. So another way to say that is look at your direct experience. We don't need to just adopt another concept and say, oh, the future isn't real. Okay, well, why does it not feel that way? Look at your direct experience. Since this broadcast began, how many moments have there been? How many different moments have there been? Now, we're not talking about a clock, because that's arbitrary. That's just made up by men. So, how many moments has there been since this began? One. Because where is the dividing line between one moment and the next? We're talking about the psychology of the way we perceive time in the world. This is what he's talking about. How many moments has there been? There has only been one moment since this broadcast began, because there's no defining line between one moment and the next. Anything that we would come up with is totally made up and doesn't have any relevance, doesn't have any bearing in reality. And so, in the same way, how many moments have there been since you were born? The same moment. And this is the paradox of what appears to be life, is that you are born, live, and die in the same moment. Now. So Eckhart says, the key to spiritual dimension. In life-threatening emergency situations, the shift in consciousness from time to presence sometimes happens naturally. The personality that has a past and a future momentarily recedes and is replaced by an intense conscious presence. Very still but very alert at the same time. Whatever response is needed then arises out of that state of consciousness. I highlighted this, guys, because it is very important, because so many people, when they get to the edge of the abyss, and many of you will already know what I'm talking about. If you've gone deep within, you can sense there's an abyss. It's like an abyss. It's like an emptiness. I can't, without my thinking mind, without me, what am I going to be? How am I going to make any choices? How is my life not just going to totally fall apart and I'll just lay on the couch all day because everything's now and nothing matters? No, that's the ego mind rehearsing, trying to tell you a story of why it is necessary. But what is actually happening is that once you silence that, then you tap in to something that is so much greater than the ego mind could ever comprehend. It is the dimension of the now. And it is the heart energy that is presence. And from that energy, from that state of presence, anything that needs done will happen. Anything that needs, any of your thoughts, your inspirations, all of it become guided by a much greater force than the thinking mind. Eckhart says, Whatever response is needed then arises out of that state of consciousness. And so, how are you guys feeling it? Let's see what you guys are saying. Miss T says, I find it very helpful to bring the now into existence through my breath's breathing. Absolutely, guys. The breathing is always with us. And so, of course, what we mean by that, what we're actually saying when we say, coming into the now, is that because the thing is that we never leave the now. We cannot ever leave the now. No matter what you do, you cannot leave the now. It is only thinking that appears to fracture the now into sections. This is the difference between the human mind and all other animals on this planet, is that the human mind has got to a point where it fractures. It appears to fracture the now into different fragments, and it's thinking that appears to fracture it. And so we say, oh, I've got to come back to the now. Okay, well, what does that really mean? You never left the now. You can't. It's all there is. It's the substratum by which all things exist. It's the spirit that moves in all things. What they mean is that my thinking mind has subsided, and now I am saying that I'm come back to the now. But that's actually not that's not the reality of it. We never leave the now. The only thing that happens is that the thinking mind subsides, the possession. So many people have become possessed by the mind, and it won't shut off. It won't be quiet. It won't stop running around in circles, worrying about the sky falling, worrying about so many things. And the mind won't shut off, and they've become possessed by it. And that can be a terrible affliction, to be possessed by a mind that will not subside, will not be quiet. And it just keeps bringing up these cyclical thought patterns of what might happen or what's going to happen to the world. And this is an election year, guys, so all hell's going to break loose. And then, no, man, no. Now, none of that exists. And so, oh, well, you're just burying your head in the sand. It's the opposite of that. It's the opposite. Coming into the now, you realize the true nature of what is. So, yes, Aaron Johnson, we get distracted from now by the mind. Yes, we do. We get distracted by it. And so when people hear that, oh, okay, well, you never leave the now. Well, why is that not my experience of it? Because you're identified with the thinking mind, definitely. And that's the natural state of consciousness at this time on the planet. Way back in the past, it used to not be that way. Humans used to exist. It was before the ego mind became crystallized. And I know all of this from intuiting it, but also from the traveling in the world, going to ancient cultures, in particular India. They've got writings going back tens of thousands of years. The oldest surviving civilization on the planet, India. And all of the, I've studied this in depth, and it was all pointing to a time when the human mind was free of the ego, and it was everyone exist in a felt state of oneness and a connectedness all across the land. And as the time has gone on, you can see how we've become the fall from grace, yes? And we've become more and more individualized in our prison concepts that are the ego. And you can, so there's all of this writings and all of this knowledge, but then also the direct experience of living with these people, villagers in particular. They do not have the same sense of self that we have in America. They do not have nearly as crystallized of an ego as the Western people do now. And I experienced this, and it was just incredibly mind-warping. And it's the collective identity is valued over individual identity in the villages. And they don't have these huge, these huge images of what their life has to give to them. They just are in the now. They just are connected with the people around them, functioning as a single unit. So I could go on about that for a long time. So Eckhart says, time is what keeps the light from reaching us. There is no greater obstacle to God than time. Aaron Johnson says, maybe by God he means now or all that is. Definitely. Okay, Jenny Grubb's got a question. I don't understand page 53, where it says, past and future veil God from our sight. Burn up both of them with fire. Okay. Yes, Rumi says, past and future veil God from our sight. Burn up both of them with fire. What they're saying is that, and then Meister Eckhart, who Eckhart changed his name to Eckhart, that's not his actual name, was a 13th century spiritual teacher, summed up beautifully. Time is what keeps the light from reaching us. There is no greater obstacle to God than time. So when they are using, what we have to understand about things like Rumi and Meister Eckhart from the 13th century and Sufi, what we have to understand about all of these different types of spiritual teachings and different verbiage is that ultimately there is one truth, one reality, one all that is. And it has been encoded in so many different ways, though. This is what's important to realize. And it's been encoded based upon the environment of the time. So when they talk about, Rumi and stuff and Meister Eckhart and in the Bible and all of these things, they're using, in Jesus parables and things, still pointing to the same truth ultimately, but it's encoded in different ways because they use what people can relate to at the time. Like the kingdom of God and stuff. Kingdom, we don't really think about kingdoms anymore. That doesn't really make sense to us anymore. But it did back in the BC, in 0 BC, in a climate that was kingdoms, and he talks about my father. That makes a lot of sense in a highly patriarchal society. He would say my father, and it's the words that they use based upon the current time. But we don't have the same things, and so when he says God, then that could be synonymous with all that is. It could be synonymous with the now. It can also be synonymous with your true self. And I know that that is a total reversal for so many Western people who have been born and raised into a concept that God is something separate from you. It is out there. God is like up in heaven somewhere. God is like something that you can maybe have a relationship to, but you can never be God, of course. It's blasphemous to even say that in the Western thought. But ultimately, you are the mind of God. This is the ultimate reality. And so, but the ego mind will hear that and go, oh, that's a megalomaniac, thinks he's God. No, that's not at all. It's the opposite of what is being said there. And so, yes, Ms. T says, analogies that people can relate to and connect with. Synonymousness, if that is a word. If it isn't, it should be. Absolutely. Analogies are everything because the people have to be able to relate to it. This is why, if you guys have heard my cosmic Wi-Fi analogy, I find it really powerful and pertinent to now and the current climate. Because if you talked several hundred years ago to people about the cosmic Wi-Fi's in the room right now, that wouldn't make any sense. And maybe in another 500 years, Wi-Fi isn't going to make any sense. And yet they'll be using that same analogy. Well, there's Wi-Fi, the cosmic Wi-Fi, and even though it's such an outdated, analogy, people are holding on so tight to it, thinking that is the teaching, that the teaching is the truth. But it's never the truth. It just points to it. So, past and future veil God from our sight. Burn up both of them with fire. The fire of your awareness. What comes with fire? Light. And back then, there was not electricity. And so burn up both of them with fire. I mean, we could say, okay, so shine the light of your consciousness and see that the past and the future do not exist. This is another way of saying that I do not exist. Let that sink in. Ultimately, what they are saying is that there is no you. Like you think that there is, like you feel that there is, like the ego mind that is controlling your life believes there to be. There is no you. There is only the one infinite creative force of the universe. And so, let's see what people have said. Yes, Pam says, Jesus said, I and my Father are one. Right. And people will, from the ego mind, which is the dualistic thinking mind, they will misinterpret that. They will think, oh, my Father, which is up in heaven, of course, and is like a masculine energy, of course, then and is always watching me. I and my Father are one. Well, he means that we're like one family. No, but if Jesus were saying this, he means that I and the now are the same thing. With I and my Father, which is all the creative potential of the universe, are one. So that's another way of saying there is no me. There is nothing that exists that stands out from the root word of exist, existere, to stand out from. Nothing can stand out from the totality of all that is. Another way to say that is nothing can stand out from the mind of God. There can be nothing outside of that. Everything is within it, the now. So, right. Hogue says, God is not a dude with a beard. He is abstract consciousness. Right. And God, that's why I don't typically like to use that word all that much, because it's so loaded now. There's so many, when you say God, people have concepts right away, of what God is. But it's become a very loaded term. Now, we're going to skip forward a bit. That, so Eckhart says, let me take a sip of this real quick. So Eckhart says, on page 61, listen to this statement, guys. All negativity is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and a denial of the present. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, which are all forms of fear, are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence. Most people find it difficult to believe that a state of consciousness totally free of all negativity is possible. I'm going to read that one more time, because this is so true. Most people find it difficult to believe that a state of consciousness totally free of all negativity is possible. And yet, this is the liberated state to which all spiritual teachings point. It is the promise of salvation, not in an illusory future, but right here and now. Most people absolutely do not believe that there is a state free of all negativity. But there is. He goes on, you may find it hard to recognize that time is the cause of your suffering or your problems. You believe that they are caused by specific situations in your life. And seen from a conventional viewpoint, this is true. But until you have dealt with the basic problem-making dysfunction of the mind, its attachment to past and future and denial of the now, problems are actually interchangeable. Listen, guys, this is everything right here. If we can understand this, then we get the key. You believe that the problems in your life are caused by things out here. Specific situations, and they're causing problems in my life. But this is not true. until you've dealt with the basic problem-making dysfunction of the mind, it's going to infuse that framework of perceiving reality into every situation that you experience. It's going to infuse that into the situations. And so the problems are going to become interchangeable. Now, if you've read the chapter, then you will know what Eckhart means by there are no problems. Now, from a standard viewpoint, people will say, what? I've got all kinds of problems. So, okay, let's see. The rent is due, and my car broke down, and my front porch collapsed, and they'll go on and they'll list the problems in their life. But as you know, if you read the book, and then you can also see if you investigate your own spiritual landscape, internal landscape, is that all of those things are actually just situations. Situations are different than problems. Remember last week or a couple weeks ago, I used the analogy of the toddler, of the baby. And so here is what goes on. There's a toddler with a toy, or a baby with a toy, and you take the toy and move it over here. Now, the reality of what happened, the situation, is that the toy was moved from point A to point B. That's the situation. But the toddler has created an entire mind story around it, that is my toy, and that I want that toy, and that you took that toy from me. Even though the reality of the situation was perfectly neutral, the toy was moved from point A to point B, the storyline, the toddler, the developing human, has become possessed by the storyline. And so there's great suffering. And so it's crying. It's like, you took my toy from me. That is all the fabricated storyline. So if the toddler had an awakened consciousness, then it would say, okay, the situation is that the toy was taken from my hands and put over there. So I don't have the toy anymore. That's the situation. Now, it's not a problem. It's not a problem until the mind comes in and says, but he shouldn't have took that toy from me. He knows that I love that toy, and why did he take that from me? Now I don't have the toy anymore. Now I wish, the big storyline. That's where all the problems come in, to the suffering and all of that, instead of seeing the reality of the situation. Well, the toy is now over there. Okay. So that's a very basic example, but it helps illustrate and understand how the mind is creating this. So, let us see here. Hogue says, Holy Spirit is a better descriptor, in my opinion. More than just that, but also, oh, absolutely. Holy Spirit, definitely. Yeah, we can get down with that. But the thing is, in my experience, is that when you have touched the ultimate reality, and that is now the seat of your awareness, that now the seat of your life, you can use all kinds of different language, all the spiritual lingo, religious lingo. You can kind of see right through all of that. And you can kind of use so much. Things are interchangeable. So many terms are interchangeable because it's all ultimately pointing to the same truth. And so, yes, we could use Holy Spirit depending on certain things. But again, you have to know the audience. You have to know each person needs different medicine, and each person has different life experiences. And so if I was in the villages in northern India, in the Himalayas, and I started talking about the Holy Spirit, that's not going to mean anything to them. Or if I say God, that's not going to mean the same thing. They're going to say, well, which one? There's 22 million gods in our Hindu mythology. Hogue says, can we talk about the tree on page 53, 54? Let's see here. Well, yes. So if you're reading page 53 and 54, then you will see. So yeah, sounds kind of like that, but even drug trips. Okay. So this guy is experiencing the tree. He says, moment ago, when you talked about the eternal presence and the unreality of past and future, I found myself looking at that tree outside the window. I had looked at it a few times before, but this time it was different. The external perception had not changed much, except that the colors seemed brighter and more vibrant. But now there was an added dimension to it. This is hard to explain. I don't know how, but I was aware of something invisible that I felt was the essence of that tree, its inner spirit, if you like. And somehow I was part of that. I realize now that I hadn't truly seen that tree before, just a flat and dead image of it. When I look at the tree now, some of that awareness is still present, but I can feel it slipping away. You see, the experience is already receding into the past. Can something like this ever be more than a fleeting glimpse? That's a really good question, because a lot of people will have these kind of glimpses, and they will have these experiences. What it is an experience of the now, free of the state of mind, free of the ego mind, and you're experiencing something, seeing it deeper and deeper. There are levels of energy at play in this reality that are infinitely deeper than what the ego mind perceives as base reality. And the degree to which we are able to release the ego mind and seat from the essence of our true self, we can see and feel these energies. We feel these energies in things. We feel the connectedness. And ultimately, what this person experienced briefly was the reality that there is no tree. There is no them. There is the one infinite creative potential of the universe, a never-ending flow of energy, a dance of energy. There's no time. It is only now. It is only here and now. They experience that glimpse of that, and it can be so profound that they will hold on to that experience. Whew. And a lot of times with psychedelics, mushrooms in particular, something like that, people will glimpse this state. They will glimpse this state of ultimate freedom, or ayahuasca. And they will take these plant medicines and they will glimpse this state of oneness, of connectedness, which is our true nature. And it's so profound to them, it blows their mind. And they can't even conceive, they can't even conceive that a state of that type of awareness is possible without the drugs. And so they think that the ayahuasca has given this to me, or the mushrooms has given this to me. But that's not the truth. What has happened is that the mushrooms or the ayahuasca has temporarily given you a glimpse into the nature of the true nature of reality, the felt oneness of all things. And so this is why you'll see people with, oh yeah, I've experimented with plant medicine. Oh yeah, what do you mean? Well, I've gone to the Amazon and had ayahuasca ceremonies. Oh yeah, how many times? Well, 37 times. But the next one is gonna, it's medicine, plant medicine. Nah, okay. Well, you are now just an excuse to get high, for one, and for two, you're never going to get permanent perception shift through a drug or through any activity or experience, because especially through drugs or psychedelics, you are not developing the tools to forge the pathway to get there by yourself. I know this because for many years I was growing the mushrooms, and I loved and I was deep into that kind of stuff. I would take them in the woods and meditate and just feel the state of connectedness. It was so profoundly beautiful, because up to that point, that was the most connected with all things I ever experienced. And if you had told me at that time that it was possible to get there by yourself without any type of substance, except even a deeper level, I would have never believed that. Only now do I know that once the shift happens, you can feel that connected to all things all the time. It never leaves you. So that's my response to that. Jerry says, I had a glimpse when looking at a tree and realized it is merely a bone that is covered with a thin layer of life, just as the soil. It is a thin layer of life force covering the earth. Absolutely, my friend. It is the soil rearranged and animated with the breath of life, temporarily, definitely. Kenny Green says, The Matrix, there is no spoon. Absolutely. And that is such a good analogy because that is literally the case in this reality. There is no spoon. And don't try to bend the spoon. Instead, only try to realize the truth. What's the truth? There is no spoon. And so Val says on page 67 and 68, all right, good, we're moving on. He talks about not what you are doing, but how, and try to have joy in all you do. I'm trying to be joyful cleaning floors, struggling with this, LOL. Yes. So let us see here. Yes. So Eckhart says, as soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolves. Listen to how big that statement is. As soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. When you act out of present moment awareness, whatever you do becomes imbued with a sense of quality, care, and love, even the most simple action. This is the truth, guys. And so, what's another way to say this? Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. This is another way of saying this and doing the same thing, honoring the present moment. Because when you do this, which means you set aside the you that you think that you are, with its thought patterns and its chatter in the mind saying, I'm just cleaning toilets. This is the whole storyline. You can use anything as a meditation. Okay, the reality, the situation is that I'm moving this brush up and down. I'm in a warm room. There's music playing. I'm fed. I'm happy. I'm well hydrated. I'm healthy. I got my health. I'm cleaning. I'm cleaning these toilets. That's the reality of it. Maybe I'm getting paid for it. Okay, but the storyline then, all that could be happening. That's the reality. But the storyline could be that I'm just cleaning toilets. This is so below me. I never thought I'd be at this point in my life where I would have to be cleaning toilets. Now, I can't possibly be happy because this isn't going to allow me to get the big car that I wanted and blah, blah, blah. There's a big storyline in the mind. And so that is what is creating the suffering. Now, does that mean that, okay, and I'm just using this as an example because I see you guys talking about it. Does that mean that's our highest aspiration in life, that we want to clean toilets forever? No, that doesn't mean accepting the present moment doesn't mean, well, I guess that's it. I'll just do whatever happens, I'll just happen. That's not how it goes. That's what the ego mind thinks happens. But once you actually start living from this, once you actually step into the abyss, then you see that everything becomes, as Eckhart says, imbued with a sense of quality, care, and love. And whatever you are doing, you become compelled to do what the infinite spirit is compelling you to do. And remember, the infinite spirit, which is the universe, the Holy Spirit, is always directing you towards that which is most conducive to your awakening. So you can absolutely guarantee that cleaning toilets at this moment is the most conducive thing to your awakening. Now, how? You have to go deeply within and you have to see, you have to use it as a practice and say, okay, there's the storyline that is like depressing to me, or that I'm irritated by doing all of this, or that it's beneath me, or blah, blah, blah. But then there's the reality of it, which at this moment is not a problem. The situation is that I am cleaning the toilet. That's what the situation is. Now, I can choose to do a storyline about it, or I can listen to the music and I can groove and I can flow with the energy. Yeah. So it's not. And so Val says, I'm trying to be joyful cleaning floors, struggling with this. Yes. And so Again, it's not actually that we are trying to be joyful, because joy is your natural state. So instead, it is that we need to remove that which is distracting us and blocking the joy. This is more like it. And what is that? The chatter of the mind, the ego mind, the me that I think that I am. Lisa T says, Nate, are anarchists and their focus on obliterating all structure in our culture furthering human consciousness as some claim, or is this claim misleading? Well, the anarchists are still possessed by an ideology, and so it is not coming from within, from the I mean, you can have anarchist kind of thoughts and kind of energies, but a proclaimed anarchist is still going to be possessed by the ego mind. They're not any more awakened than anyone else. Anyone else that is still stuck in the ego mind. And so that is still a belief system, that we should have no belief systems. That's still a structure, that we should have no structures. It's still the ego mind. It's actually no different. Ultimately, on a spiritual, on the higher levels, it's no different than having a system. Because as you will see when you awaken to, when the shift happens, that it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter what structure or what system, what the collective is doing. All that matters is that the individual awakens to their true nature. And what does that mean? That means that they get out of the way and they allow the heart energy, the infinite spirit, the Holy Spirit, to guide their actions and their life. They give their life over to the Holy Spirit. That's another way to say it. Then everything becomes clear. You don't even need to question what you're doing because everything is good. The universe wants to awaken through you, and so you let it come. This is it. No, we don't have to obliterate all structures. The only thing that is going to further human consciousness is the individual awakening to their true nature. That's it. And if each individual does that, the collective is taking care of itself. Aaron Johnson says, I'll be cleaning toilets today and loving every minute of it. Definitely, my friends. See if you can do that. Whatever you guys are doing in life now, today, see if you can put aside the storyline. See if you can put aside the thinking ego mind and feel the reality of what is. See if you can do that. And you will quickly notice the joy and the serenity that comes up, like the same type of during meditation. And you will see, the more that you practice, that that state that you can reach in meditation is actually always there. It never leaves you. So Blue Wolf says, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Oh, absolutely. Yes. And this is the paradox of human thought and the human words and human mind, because even the concept of choice is mind-made, is a fabrication of the human mind. So it's like so many people, they read the teachings and they say, well, I'm supposed to not desire. Okay, well, I really want to not desire anything. Okay, so I really want to not desire. Well, okay, you're desiring not to desire. So how is that going to work? It's not. It's like them saying, I want to drop the ego. Okay, well, who is dropping the ego? A second ego? Secondary ego? There is no ego to drop, and there is no one to drop it. Lisa T says, Nate, thank you for this clarity on anarchy and ego mind. Yes, definitely. You are very welcome. And it is very important to understand the workings of the ego mind. And because anarchy, even though the people can make the claim that, no, we just want everything to be one and to flow, this is still coming from the ego mind for most. Because it's still a belief system. It's still a structure that they're trying to hold on to and that they're trying to promote. So it's like desiring not to desire. It's not the real. So Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Let's get a few more here. So Eckhart ends this chapter by saying, well, let me just read this paragraph. Okay, I'm going to read this last paragraph. Eckhart said, so the question is, in that state of wholeness, this is the questioner, in that state of wholeness, would we still be able or willing to pursue external goals? Eckhart says, of course, but you will not have illusory expectations that anything or anybody in the future will save you or make you happy. This is profoundly important. You will still pursue goals. Everything will still happen in your life, but you will not have the fundamental delusion that once you achieve that, it's going to make you happy, or then you will be complete in some way. And most of these are subconscious. I can use myself as an example. If so, even though the goal is to get the land and to get the ranch and to get the school happening and to heal the land and to create the school and to get basically like the center happening where we're going to talk about and teach all of this kind of stuff. Yes, there will be the land there. It will be beautiful and it will feel really good being connected to the land again. Yes, I know all of this, and seeing the people, I can just see all of this already as a reality. But does that mean that until that happens, oh man, I'm just obsessed about it. I just am, until that happens, I can't be happy, or until that happens, I can't, I can't really relax and be living like I can't admit that everything is perfect. No, that's not the reality. I don't have an illusion that, okay, once I get the land, then my life's going to be fulfilling and happy. And then, okay, yeah, so just put it all aside. And once that happens, then, okay, because I did that for years. I did that for years, thinking that, okay, well, once I have this experience, then I'm finally going to feel satisfied. I didn't even know what at the time. Or once I go to this country, or once I get this kind of exotic girlfriend, or once I get this kind of a life situation just right, living on an island, with my fashion model girlfriend and stuff, once I get all of that happening, then no, because then you get there and you realize, wait, this isn't doing it. And then you can be horrified by, oh no, this isn't doing it. And then, yes, my mind, oh man, okay, well, once I can be the head grower in Northern California, once I can be the head grower on a good commercial and grow, then I will be, whoa, wow, that's going to just be amazing. There was the subconscious thought that once that happened, then I would be fulfilled. But that came to pass, and I was not fulfilled. I was less fulfilled than ever before. So I turned to other things that I thought would fulfill me. Nothing ever did it. Nothing. I went all over the world. And there was even a point when I had more money than I could ever. There was a point. It's all gone now, but there was a point when I could buy anything that I wanted to, just like that. And I did that. And I bought everything I ever wanted. And none of that satisfied. None of that quenched the fire within. And so Eckhart ends it by saying, once you realize this, everything is honored, but nothing matters. Listen to that, guys. That's the most profound statement in the entire book. Everything is honored, but nothing matters. Forms are born and die, yet you are aware of the eternal underneath the forms. You know that nothing real can be threatened. I'm going to say it again. Everything is honored, but nothing matters. Let that digest, guys. That's the biggest thing that people had, and I had as well. The conflict with, the tension was, what do you mean nothing matters? That's not possible. That is the most depressing thought I could ever imagine. That's the hopelessness and despair. I was still operating from the ego mind. I didn't realize it at the time. Until, by grace or whatever, the switch happens, and then all of a sudden, it becomes the ultimate freedom. And what was the abyss, what appeared as emptiness, now becomes fullness. It becomes the totality of all that is. And you feel full and satiated and satisfied and confident and happy, and never again does loneliness or any thought of depression or any thought of none of that. It all just evaporates and it stays gone permanently. So, okay, guys, what do you think? Okay, Miss KC says, this is kind of a silly example, but I stopped wearing my Fitbit because what's the purpose of counting steps or heart rate minutes? If I exercise and feel good, that's what's actually fulfilling, right? That's true. It definitely matters about the feeling. I'm laughing because my parents, my mom and stepdad, they are all about wearing their Fitbits, and they communicate with each other. Did you get your steps in? And if they didn't get 10,000, then they will walk. So there can still be great external goals, but it's all the psychology of okay, once I get the 10,000, then I will be somehow more. I will be, once I get 1,000,000 steps, then I will somehow be more fulfilled than I am right now. The ego mind loves to set up that structure so that the fulfillment, which means the evaporation of the ego mind, the fulfillment is always in the future. It's just like the carrot dangling. It just never really gets there. You'll have brief moments where you acquire something and you feel kind of fulfilled. Hey, yeah, life's good, everything. But then surely the unfulfillment comes back because it just didn't do it. It just didn't do the trick. Why? Why didn't it do the trick? Nothing out here will ever be able to do the trick. Yes, Aaron Johnson says, similar goals for me: land, animals, huge garden. It will happen, but if not, I am still whole and happy. I make the best of what I have. Definitely. Yes, it is not about the destination. It is all about the journey. Because when we look deeply, we see there is no such thing as a destination. There is only the journey ever. So the relationship you have with the journey is primarily important because it's actually the only relationship you will have. And so the destination is a mind-made fantasy. And when you get there, there's going to be a new destination. And so you have to develop the relationship with the journey, loving the journey. And if you guys want to see parts of my journey, every Friday at 12 noon now, I'm releasing a traveling video. So if you guys are into that, watch the Travel Like a Viking channel and leave some comments on that channel, please, because I'm trying to grow that. So I need you guys, any video that you watch on the Travel Like a Viking or this one, leave a comment and give a thumbs up. That helps the channel grow dramatically. Because I think the traveling videos is gonna, a lot of people can relate. And so we're only like a year and a half into a 10-year story, and it's gonna get crazy as the years go by. So I'm gonna try and stick to one every Friday. So we'll see. Hogue says, so Nate, you talk about getting a plot of land in Michigan in the future. Can you connect that to these readings? Ooh, I wonder if that was before I gave the, before I kind of described that. But yeah, you absolutely can connect it to the readings. Definitely. And the land is going to be, it's almost like it's almost like just a vision, a premonition in a way, because it's all happening now. But I just see that is what is happening. I'm compelled to do that. And since I started living like this, maybe 4 years ago. So once the switch really happened, and never went back, then it's I don't question anymore the why or the how. I just focus on what I see, and I don't really question the route to get to it, and it just works. Before I started the Garden Like a Viking channel, which is just going in its second year, I was really trying to write a book about all of my life experience and stuff. I was headstrong, 98,000 words into this book, headstrong on it, but it was just like so difficult, and I was having to strong arm it and really work on it and stuff, and it just but I could not get out of my mind gardening videos. I didn't know why. It was like, no, you have to. And so I eventually was like, okay, well, I have to stop. I'm strong arming this book. So I have to do what I'm compelled to do because I'm living by the heart, 100% by the heart now. And so I have to do what I'm compelled to do. And so I was compelled to start a YouTube channel about gardening, and it just exploded. And now I'm full time. That's how I make money, and that's what I'm doing. And that's led to countless different opportunities and all of that. Would have never happened if I was functioning still from the thinking mind, where I was like, no, I can't be wasting time making gardening videos on YouTube when I need to write this book. The book will get written at some point when it's meant to, but I just do what I'm compelled to do because I'm being guided into that. And that's enough. And so the land will come, in the right situation, the right connection. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. But how exactly, I don't know. And the main thing is that I'm not projecting some future, more satisfied sense of self into the land. I'm not saying, well, okay, once all of that happens, I got all these fantasies and stuff. I don't spend any time doing anything like that anymore. I just see the vision, I know it's happening, and then remain present. So I don't have all these fantasies of, oh, when that happens, I'm going to be so happy and all of this. No, I won't be any more or less than I am right now at this moment. But that's just what's going to happen. Lisa T says, how does absence of ego mind impact motivation? Now, that's really the crux of what we're talking about. The biggest thing that the ego mind, the worst thing that the ego mind can conceive of is it stepping aside, is going beyond the ego mind. That's the worst thing it could conceive of. So it's going to infuse in you, because remember, it's like an entity that wants to survive. So it's going to infuse in you a fear, or like a hesitant, or like a when you try to think, okay, what is the life without the ego mind? What will happen? Because you think that is what will give you motivation in life. But that's a type of motivation. But when you free yourself from the ego mind, which is to say you fully realize that which already is the reality of this realm, then the motivation comes from a deeper level. It comes from a level that is hard to describe. It's not from the thinking mind anymore. So like in the story I just told about the starting the gardening channel and stuff, I was compelled. It becomes more like compelled. You're compelled to do certain things in life, but you just flow with it now because the ego mind has got out of the way now. So you don't have to worry about if it's the right choice or if it's the right, am I doing the right thing? Absolutely you are. Because always the universe has your back. Always. And so my motivations have changed dramatically in the past handful of years. Dramatically. Now, if I was still in the thinking mind, I would have tried to strong arm things, and life would be full of effort and it would be kind of difficult. So a way that you can tell if you're still in the ego mind is if life seems so much effort, so difficult. So you have to put so much work in. But if you're flowing with the infinite creative potential of all that is, it's effortless. It just happens. Jamie Copeland says, thanks. So thankful for the foundation that has been built with living in the now. Recently had a spinal injury and am staying in the present in order to stay positive in recovery. Absolutely, my friend. Let us send the healing energy to Jamie that the spinal injury is healed to the best of its ability. The body has an amazing capability of self-healing. And that is very important, that you remain free. Don't get involved in the sticky little storyline that is going to say, oh, me, all of my... Well, I don't have to tell you what the storyline could be. Okay, so we have to be careful that we don't get stuck in that, because that is not what is going to be conducive to healing energy, is when we focus on the ailment or what is perceived at the moment as the problem. So we remain free of that. Muddy Paws says, binge watched your travel yesterday. Love it. And totally related to reverse culture shock. Nice. Glad. Thank you. Sam Potzik says, I have that compelling drawl feeling, and to some, it looks like I have unfinished projects. Yes, yes, that can happen. Definitely. That can happen. Lisa T says, yes, ego death is a desperate survival struggle for that entity, a real inner battle. So in the process, I experienced death. Definitely. It is like an ego death. And, but what is it the death of? The death of an illusion. It was never real in the first place. Okay, my friend. Val says, most animals are living in the now. Are they closer to the one than most people? Well, they are not. It's different. It's different, actually. Then the animal lives in the now because it has no other choice, because it doesn't have the ability to formulate. It doesn't conceive itself as an entity. Dogs and cats can kind of seem, but can seem like they do to humans, but no other animal does it in the way that the human does it. And so they are just existing in the felt oneness of all things, as humans used to do. And so they are not, but then there is like so that is what we could call below consciousness. But then what humans have the possibility to do is to become possessed by the ego mind and then go beyond that, which is very different than what the animals are doing, but also at the same time, because they are the one, inseparable from the one, definitely. But no, that doesn't mean that like cats are Zen masters, because they're just existing as they are. They can appear like a Zen master, how they are not bothered by many things, and they are in the now, all the time. But that is not a conscious choice. That has not been a conscious choice. So there's a totally different quality to it. So, okay, guys, we are at the end of our time. Grandma Zoo, glad to see you made it. Last moment says, much love. Live in the now. Tell myself that all day, every day when my anxiety is attacking me. Yes, definitely. These are wonderful practices for all of that. So by next time, we will have read chapter 4. Maybe we should just read. What do you guys think? Maybe we should just focus on reading this one chapter a week until it's done. What do you think? Because, I mean, this is like the ultimate, this is what the whole channel's about, really. There's like nothing more important than this. So what do you think? Next week we'll just do chapter 4? Let me know. So Hogue says, thanks for all the examples and for putting up with me today. Oh, no problem, my friend. No problem. So, guys, there is the Saturday Garden Like a Viking live. There is the this live every Monday, and then I'm gonna start releasing videos on the gardening channel again, and so that's gonna be coming. It's almost the season, and every Friday at 12 noon Eastern time, there's gonna be a Travel Like a Viking released. Yes. So, yes. Okay. Sounds like you guys are okay with this. All right. Yeah. Spinster Mountain, Muddy Paws, Val, Hogue, Jerry, Ms. T, everybody, Pam says yes, that we're going to do that. So the next live will be about chapter 4. Next Monday at this time will be chapter 4. So what I want you guys to have some specific questions and relate them to your life, because it's all about It's all about the critical thinking and the application into your life where it really sinks in. So that's very important. So each person have like one part of the chapter 4 or 2 or 3 that you say, okay, clarification, or you want to talk about it, or you want it to be a conversation piece, or you can relate it to your life or something like that. But each person should have one of those about chapter 4 by next time. And yes, this week I will also on this channel be releasing the ice bath video so that you guys can do it while it's still cold. Okay. So, okay, my friends, it's been real. I appreciate everybody, and good to see you here, Crystal. Yes, and infinite spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Another way that we can say this, guys, is using different language, pointing to the same thing. Another way we could say this is, I have given my life entirely to God, and it is Him that guides my actions. It is Him that speaks through me. Therefore, I do not have to worry about anything, because it is not me, it is God working through me. Val, $10. Thank you very much. That's going to get us over the $100, I hope. But yeah, so thank you guys for the donations and for the energy contribution and everything. So, all right, guys, next time.